Need a whistle? Oh, there. Okay. I've never seen that come up before.
Yeah, actually, it's saying that's
Not that anybody's gonna show, but we'll see.
For a while, especially our hires, set my PS or this anything,
Ah.
and with the help of the sellers. The record calculation is a good thing.
Mike Sugi. Yep. Oh, Lord no, they're great people. And I'm gonna just warn you up front, I've got to teach a class here in 10 minutes, but I've got to get 6 or 7 minutes we can chat. Right. Well, I would love to do that, and it's kind of different right now. I've got Mike and Debbie's place, and then I've got another one I'm going to today down in Lakewood. It's the same thing. Dad just passed away last week. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know what? It does. We can't get out of here alive, can we? Oh, what is the address up there? Corey? Yeah, I've been on that street. Yeah. 12305 Corey. Okay. When works for you guys? Okay. Okay. Do you guys live up there also? Okay. Oh, I've got a house under contract up in the new builds up there. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, here's what I think would be a good thing to do, because Mike was telling me you're doing have to clean out a lot and do stuff. But I'm gonna let you know that you may not need to do as much as you think. Cause I sold a house earlier this year that was also the same type of situation. And, it was down in Littleton. Now Littleton's obviously a hotter, different market than up in Longmont, but we have investors everywhere. And I had a house that was in awful shape, and I mean awful, with a lot of stuff still in it, because they had spent 2 years trying to clean it out. And when they had me down there, I said, stop, quit taking stuff out. I think you'll probably be able to get investors to say, you know what, we'll take the house as is and we'll take care of everything. So, a little better. So I think what would be a good idea is to us get together sooner than later and just take a look at the house, and I can tell you, here's things that I think you need to worry about, here's things I wouldn't worry about. Okay? And I don't know if Mike told you, but I always get the house, I always get the sewer line inspected. Up front, I get the furnace cleaned and checked out, I get the roofing cleaned or checked and certified. And all the other things, that there need be any things that I see that might be a benefit. The house I did in Littleton, I had my structural engineer do a report, because I didn't think it needed anything, but he reaffirmed it, so that when we had showings, we had 68 showings in 2 days, and I had 22 offers. Yeah. Now, it won't be that much up there, but you've got investors that are looking. So. Okay. Okay. And it came up BB Blondo. What's your first name again? Matt. That's what I thought. Okay. And your sister? And again, the address is 12305 Corey. Is that right? Oh, just 2305. Okay. Perfect. Me, I do too. What is your email, just so I have that too, Matt? That's easy. Okay, it might work if you wanted to, maybe Saturday, and might be able to come up. If it does, I'll email you. If not, if that doesn't work, or you guys are not gonna be there, we'll just do it sometime the next week or so. Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Absolutely, sir. We'll see you. Take care, and I appreciate the call very much. Bye. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Yay. See there?
I can hear you, Bob.
See
Hi,
what I
Bob.
did? How are you?
Doing good. How are you today?
Good. Who couldn't be good on a day like today?
Right.
Right. It's beautiful out. All right. Let me see here. I don't want to share some screen. Share that screen. I don't care about that. Oh, and I just lost it. Okay. Don't. Actually, I don't really need to share a screen. Because, well, I might, because I think I want to pull up a map. So let me get things in here. So anybody have anything going on that you have questions on? No? No questions?
No, I've been busy on 4th of July before, so I'm always keeping open. I'm subbing for, on call for an agent who's on vacation. So if she has her buyers need a showing, I'm ready to jump for her.
I see. That's awesome. Now, who's on vacation that you're subbing for?
Her name is Chelsea Caldwell.
Oh,
She's,
she's in
yeah.
another office?
Another office, yeah, and because I've worked in a couple offices and I've worked with her for years on different
Okay.
situations, so it's been great.
Good.
She works with a lot of relocation people, and I've worked in relocation for 15 years. So if she asks me to show something in Strasbourg or something, I know where it is.
There you go. Let's see, let me get this, where is this at? Share. I don't want to share that one. I can't find my share, so we'll stop the share and we'll go from there. Okay. So Liz is here, Kim is here, and Maggie. All of you are online? Have your
Yes.
sounds? Okay, yes. Where are all your pretty faces?
Well, you wouldn't want to see my pretty face right now because I'm
Oh my
packing.
God.
You wouldn't want to see it because I'm packing to go to San Diego.
All right, all right. So I wanted to touch, I don't know if you guys saw what I wrote in our Facebook page this morning, but I
Yes.
just wanted to bring up, do any of you use a mileage app for your business?
No, I have not.
What?
No,
Why not? Why not, huh? So.
Didn't
about
know.
5 years Well, I'm gonna give you one here that is, I think, has been fantastic. I never had one. I used to write stuff down on a book, which was forever. Took me forever to every month, or typically it was every year. I would have to get, everything and figure it out and then write down the numbers, and oh my God, it was awful. So there's this app and it's called Mile IQ, and I'm gonna try to pull it up here and then I'll share it, if that's okay. Because I have been, this has been the easiest thing I've ever done. Let me see, I will get that done. And then, I'm sorry, guys, this is not working as easily as I wanted it to. But I will get it, I promise. So, let's see. Okay. You see this? Go to, your app store, whatever you have. This thing is so easy. All that you have to do is basically get connected with your app. And it doesn't matter if you're in your car or a rental car or somebody else's car, it keeps track of your mileage. And all that you do at the end is swipe which way, if it's a business or a personal. And at the end of the year or month or week, whatever you want, all that you do is say print report, and it'll show you everything. And then then you can go to your computer and you can print each month out or the year out. It gives you all the numbers that you need. So I'm gonna just play this little video here. Let's see, I'm gonna make sure I'm sharing. Let's see, can you guys hear that?
Hi, this is April from Mile IQ.
Okay,
You try to work and then track your miles for tax deductions or reimbursements. You can do it automatically. Mile IQ is the
the #1 mileage tracking app that automatically captures all of your drives. Here's how it works. You just swipe left to classify a drive as personal or right to classify a drive as business. Once drives are classified, you can create and send reports for tax deductions or reimbursement with just one tap. Each year, the average driver deducts over $8,400, and this system saves over 100 hours of manual work. And with 80,000 plus 5-star reviews, we're the leading mileage tracking solution for drivers and for teams. Work is hard. Mileage tracking shouldn't be. Download MileIQ today.
That's a pretty simple ad. I want to disclose that I don't get paid any money to do that. But it has been truly a godsend to me because it is so simple. Now, there have been times early last year where there was kind of a glitch with it and it wasn't working right all the time. But in the last 12 months, at least, it works like a charm. And if you don't need to do it with every drive, when you finish, you can wait a week or 2 weeks. And then you can go in and just start swiping, whether it was business or personal. And you can also notate showing, meeting, whatever if you want to. But it tracks everything. And like I said, the thing that's really nice is like when I take my car in for service and they give me a loaner car, I don't have to do anything. It automatically hooks up to that car and tracks, period. So it's very easy, very simple. I think you'll really like it. I would give it a try and keep track of your mileage, guys, because it adds up very quickly. Very quickly. Just to give you an idea, let's see. If I look at mine right now, and we're in the 3rd day of July. And I haven't done today's drives, but I already have driven 241 miles. And I've already built up $116 worth of log mileage. And I still have 3 or 4 more to go, but I can go back to June. It says classify unclassified drives. I can go back and quickly classify those, just swiping left or right. For the month of June, I had, without reclassifying some of these drives I missed, I had 1,545 miles, 261 drives for a total of $489 in write-off. So it keeps track of things. You don't have to do anything other than just be hooked up to it. Very simple, and you can, it tells me here that I still need to classify 39 drives, which is pretty simple. All that I have to do is swipe left for personal, and swipe, and it'll also ask you if you want to classify a drive. So like I drive every morning from my house to the gym, from the gym to here, well, from the gym to the car wash or the gas station, from the gas station to here. So it automatically, I can make it so it automatically does those things. And I don't have to worry about anything. And then you just swipe to the right when it's business. And again, if you don't classify everything, it will show up later. You can go back and it'll show up and you just reclassify the ones that you have. So I want to bring that up again, guys, because you're missing out if you're not writing off all this mileage. Okay? Any questions?
Is there a charge for that, Bob?
What was that?
Is there a charge for that app or no?
No,
Okay, thank you.
no. No, there wasn't. If there is, it's really nominal, but I'm pretty sure it's free.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. I think you'll like it. You may hate it, but, and I have an Android, but I know it works with Apple because I know 5 or 6 friends, agents that use it and have had nothing but success with it. So give it a whirl. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to share another screen. Let's see. Let's go. I don't want that. I don't want that. Let's go to. So have anybody been showing in places? Or seen any homes that you had any questions on or anything? No. Not been busy? Here comes the cops. All right, I'm gonna pull up a map here. Just out of MLS. And we're just gonna talk about areas so that you're kind of familiar with things that you might find, or maybe you don't wanna find. Because there are some areas that are pretty bad as far as soils. Some places having water issues as far as the amount of water. So I just wanted to talk about those things so that when you're out showing, you kind of have a heads up of what's going on. Has anybody, are you going to be showing anywhere that you haven't been before, or have any questions about any particular area, you guys? No? Uh-oh, did I lose
Yeah.
you?
No,
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with most areas. I really didn't head to the east very much. And most of the mountains, I only went as far as Genesee. I didn't do Evergreen or anything, because it's just not, I'm not as familiar with the mountains. Though I've shown them up there before, but I usually just kept around town. So I was the burbs. I did the suburbs and I did north. I went as far as Berthoud, Loveland, Berthoud. Showed a
Good
couple
for
times
you.
in Fort Collins, but not really very often. The Firestone, Frederick, Johnstown. I've sold quite a few up in that area. Meade, Thornton and North Glen, of course, but and then I go as south as I love Parker, Castle Pines, South Aurora. I've sold many there, and I actually sold one house in Elizabeth. But I did a lot of showing down there because the people were moving here from out of state, wanted to live in Colorado, picked Elizabeth, which was, I had no idea. So I come from San Francisco. And so I'm showing a house in Elizabeth, and we had to stop because a deer was crossing the street. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. There's deer all over the place here. So I thought it was pretty cool that it was, but it's grown so much.
When
Wow.
you're driving in Elizabeth or rural areas or the foothills and it's evening time, you have to be very careful
Yes.
because that's when they like to come out.
Yep. And
So interesting, because I'm gonna start with Elizabeth a little bit.
yeah.
Elizabeth is this little town right here, and give
Yep.
it in perspective. Here's Parker.
Yep.
And so from Parker straight over to Elizabeth is probably 10 miles. The town of Elizabeth is kind of neat in that when you get into the Elizabeth, and then just as you start to leave, you'll see all of these trees here.
Yeah.
And it's very thick and wooded in that one area. It's about a mile long. And there's just some very, very nice homes. There's a lot of new construction right now to the south
To the
and a
south.
little bit west of Elizabeth. And then I'll take you up to the north here. What do you think that looks like?
Well, that looks like farmland.
Nope. It's my kind of farmland. It's a golf course.
Oh.
Yeah. This is called Singing Hills.
Oh, yes.
And there's a lot of houses being built. And one reason I wanted to mention this is a lot of people are concerned that there's going to be a water shortage out here because this does tie into one of the bigger aquifers in the state.
Oh, okay.
But there are a lot of people that own a lot of water rights out there. wanna sell them off, great, if they don't know. One thing could be pretty certain is water could become a premium and very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's just worth a conversation that you might have with your clients. But I've sold quite a few houses in Singing Hills and around this area. You're going to find that pretty much most homes that are a little older are pretty good construction. Some of the homes in the new part of Singing Hills Golf Course are built by a builder called LGI.
Oh,
LGI does not make the highest quality. They're right up there with KB Homes and a few of the others. So you want to be a little bit aware of that. This is the first place I really ever saw an LGI home that was framed and not finished off where I could look at the construction, and it was poor. It was kind of scary poor. So be careful and just know that, you know, you have some good builders out there, you have some that maybe aren't so good. But that's Elizabeth, kind of in a little bit of a nutshell. I have sold a little bit further out too, out towards, you can actually get to Lyman if you go out here and up to Iowa and across.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, there's a lot of houses out here that you can't see on this map because they don't show all the new stuff, but there's a lot of new homes right in here that they built right next to the golf course. So, just wanted to make you aware of that. So, and it's only about, to get to this area from Parker only takes about 12, 14 minutes. Because here's Parker right here. So you have a very big subdivision, Canterbury Crossing, a lot of pretty nice homes in there. You also have a golf course in there. And you have Anthology, you have the Pinery, which is a little bit more of an area where the houses are sitting on larger lots. Some areas of the Pinery houses sit on acreage. Some of them just sit on like half-acre lots or third-acre lots, whatever. And you're gonna find that there's actually some pretty old homes down in this area.
yeah.
There's
They're
also
older.
a couple of golf courses down here in the Pinery, okay?
Yep.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, they're
Anything?
older homes. They tend to be a little bit older. And some of them have been remodeled and they look nice, but most of
Yeah.
them are the older ones.
Some of them are old, some of them have old cedar siding.
Yeah.
Which back in the days, we didn't think about it as much, but now with all of the fires that we're having, I don't know that you necessarily want a cedar sided house. Because they are a lot more of a fire threat than it is if you just have, you know, regular siding and or the concrete coated siding.
Yeah.
So, the one thing you're gonna find when you're in Parker, it is extremely busy because it's very populated for the area. There's a lot of houses in a very small area. There's a lot of population right down here. Then you can cross over, there's a little town called Franktown, which is
Yep.
directly south of Parker. This is Parker Road. And from there, you can go out to Elizabeth, or you can go back to the west and over to Castle Rock.
Rock.
And Castle Rock is growing tremendously.
Wow.
There's some very, very nice areas, but you can see here, there's a lot of homes going up. And you've got Plum Creek Golf Course, you've got areas down here, and there's more areas in here that don't show up, that there's all kinds of new homes in here. Bell Mountain, there are homes that are on acreage, probably run around, give or take $1 million.
Mhm.
You've got another golf course on the west side of the highway at Castle Rock, which is called Red Hawk. And then you have the wonderful area of Castle Pines Village. Can't just go drive through Castle Pine Village, but if you ever get a chance to go show homes in Castle Pines
Yeah.
Village, it is a wonderful area. I've shown and sold and had some listings in there, and it's a fantastic community. I think it's something like $280 for the HOA, and you have all kinds of trails. There's like 100 miles of trails. They have lakes, they have tennis courts, they have their own fire department, they have their own health department. Every house has a panic button on it. So if you push it, the fire department or the medics are there in minutes. It's a gated community. That's why I say you can't really get in there. But you can drive through Happy Canyon Road. You can get off on I-25 and drive right through
Right.
kind of the center of Castle Pine. Okay, you'll notice there's the golf course there. In fact, there is a PGA tournament there again this
Yep.
year. There used to be one every year that was called the International. This year they're having what's called the BMW Playoff. So that's one of the FedEx Cup tournaments. So we're having them back. I think it's been since 2006 or something since they've been here. So it's been a long time. But the homes in there are just really, really nice most of the time. So once in a while you get one that's just not very good for the money, because you're looking at $1 million up to, I think, highest price one I think I've seen in there that I personally got to show was 10 million, but I know there are more out there. But you have the golf course that runs around through. You also have patio homes. You have these here patio homes. You have patio homes mixed in the area. It's just a very, very nice area, and really it's kind of hard to beat because you're not too far from downtown Denver. You can go up Santa Fe the back way, and you can be from Castle Pines, go right up past Sedalia, and this is what you would call Santa Fe. And here's Sterling Ranch, and this goes over to the area which I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Waterton, which Martin Marietta is this area right in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you get into this area off of Rampart Road,
Oh, Roxborough.
okay, this is Roxborough, which is
Yeah.
really a cool area.
Yeah.
And you have another golf course down here.
Yeah.
There's golf courses all over. But the soils down in this area can be absolutely horrible for building. And they didn't do a very good job on the original homes they built, especially on the east side of Rampart Ridge Road. This area over here, I've seen houses that probably should have 2 or 3 zip codes because they're trying to move. They can be on the west side, but the east side tends to be worse.
Okay.
And it's funny because Rampart Ridge or Rampart Road kind of is that dividing line. Then you've got this whole new area, which if you saw the current map, this is all homes.
Yep.
This is Sterling Ranch. Sterling Ranch has some hot soils issues. So if I click on the map there, it tells me, it tells you who owns the land, that
Right.
this land is owned by Sterling Ranch. And there are a lot of houses there. You just don't see it. So be careful if you go show down there. Now, when you get up to Rampart Road and you circle around and come up into Roxborough Park, this is an elevated area. And there are some really cool homes in here.
Yeah.
There's patio homes, there are some townhome type properties, but there are some homes in there that will just blow your mind as far as what they're like. They are, I showed this home here
Uh-huh.
to this people that bought in Castle Pines. And the reason they went with Castle Pines over Roxborough Park is this does not have any amenities at all like Castle Pines does. It's nice, and the house was unbelievable with all of these, the redstone formations. It's just, it's an amazing area. But you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while to get to the gas station, and they do have it back up the road, and they have a grocery store now. They didn't used to years ago. So, but that's kind of the south part of town. So when you look at the south part of town, and as you get down by Chatfield Dam, and as you get along Dakota Ridge, and this is 470, the soils in this area, all the way down to Rampart, tend to be problematic. Okay, and probably that's because you have the flatlands basically going right up to the foothills. And this soil has a lot of what they call bentonite in it, which is an expansive clay. So pretty much if you're west of Wadsworth and you're over in here, you need to be careful about when you're showing houses and looking for things that could be an issue.
In the old Ken Carl area, so
Mhm.
against the mountains to the west of 470. That, you know, the
Absolutely.
old Ken Carl, that actually has a lot of issues over there with the older homes. The homes are beautiful, but they have a lot of issues in that neighborhood.
They do. They also have a lot of wild animals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have a
And
friend who lives
horses.
in there, and they see 3 or 4 mountain lions a year, and they also see rattlesnakes. And so it's just something to be aware of when you're showing, okay? But soils are really an issue anywhere from 285, which is Hampton. This is Hampton. This is Red Rocks over here. This little area here called Friendly Hills
Yep.
ain't so friendly at times. I've seen some homes in there that were just destroyed. And basically, if here's Sims, if you're west of Sims, going over towards 470, you can have some real problems. You can have some problems in here too, around Governor's Ranch and such, but really bad down in this area, because this is kind of a low area that you can't tell here.
Yeah, we were
Another
under
area-
contract. I had a under contract in Friendly Hills and it was going great price, beautiful location, nice views. And went down in the basement and they had painted over all the issues. And the inspector said, you know, this doesn't look right. And then we started measuring and it was bad. So
Yep.
was able to get out of the contract.
It's very bad down in there. And don't let it fool you. Just be
Paint.
very aware. It's very
Bob, I just
common.
wanted to stop and just say, I'm sorry, I have to leave because I have an appointment at 11, so I have to run out. But thank you so much for your time. And wanted to wish you happy 4th of July. I hope you get some time off to enjoy it. And Maggie and Liz, I hope you do too. So have a great rest of your week. Thank you for your time.
Be safe. All right, so now we have Maggie and Liz. Do you guys have any questions so far? And is this helpful?
This is helpful, yeah.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Bob, I'm kind of curious about Erie. What's going on in Erie? I've heard.
We are gonna talk about Erie.
Okay.
That's one of my places that I wanted to discuss, soils, and yeah, it's an interesting area.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so here we have, and you don't see it obviously, but here we have Red Rocks and Vandermeer, or I should say the previous Vandermeer Raceway. We have new homes going up all around this area, which is, this is 285 or Hampton, and this is 470. There are some, no, excuse me, this area right here. They're building, I think this is mostly Lennar. Lennar built in this area where these soils are soaking wet. I've had my structural engineer has looked at 4 new built homes down there for people who were having problems. And he said he doesn't believe they specified the right construction for the types of soil. And there are some serious issues going on. So here's Vandermeer, here's Red Rocks, here's Lennar, okay? Then just to the north of it you have, all of these houses, which don't tend to have a problem because they're higher up on the hill. Because this is downhill from Alameda to the south. So be careful of this stuff down in this lower area. It's really got some problems, okay? And then anywhere where you're close to the foothills, there does tend to be just some issues that happen. Green Mountain here, with some of the very high-end homes that are around the top, some of those homes were having severe issues because they just weren't built correctly. It's part of it is soils, and some of it was just, they just didn't do a good job with construction. And we're talking $1 million homes, and there were people living there that said they could hear their house moving at night when it was quiet. So the reason I'm not going further over is you don't tend to see a lot. You can have soil problems anywhere, but as you get closer to the foothills, it does tend to rear its ugly head, and you have a little bit more issues. And that's all the way up the corridor as you go up into, this is Applewood Meadows, which is directly out. This is 64th coming along. Applewood Meadows is just along 58 and right out by Highway 93. They've got some pretty bad soil problems in places. As you get further to the east, it's not so bad. But there can still be some bad areas, okay? And then you have light rock. And then you have other areas, which all of this is now what? This is Candelas. There. So doesn't show any homes because photos were taken a long time ago. I wish they'd update this, but there can be some soil issues along this area. This is where Rocky Flats used to be. And now this is where you can get some really, really bad soils, is in Louisville, right here. So I think you're all probably familiar with, let's get the right area here. Rock Creek Parkway and Colton Road, and this is Flatirons Mall, okay, right there. Colton Road goes east and west, and there were homes in this area built first, east of McCaslin, south of the Boulder Turnpike, north of Colton Road. This area is notorious for some really bad soils. And some people that had Richmond homes in there, that they kind of fell apart. Richmond built them when they started building new homes up on this, which is a higher ridge. They gave the people homes up here and told them not to disclose what had occurred. How do I know that? Because I know 3 or 4 people who had that happen to them, and they were given a home. Okay, but yeah, and of course they weren't supposed to say anything, but of course people do, because they don't want other people to be harmed because of the builders not doing a good job. There was even what we used to call the parade of homes, which we still, I think, have them, but you don't see them much. These are very high-end homes. And high end, I mean, back in the day when they were built, they were 500,000 and 600,000, and that's when houses were like 200,000. I sold this house right here, which did not have it, or excuse me, this house right here. This house did not have any soil issues. This house here had their basement replaced 3 times, to the tune of about $70,000 each time. So it can be very problematic, and it has nothing to do with price. It's just the location. And you can see there's quite a bit of water in this area, which tells you that the groundwater is somewhat high. Okay?
Bob, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm trying to get some clarity here on, I see these areas that you're pointing out. And this may not be a question that you can answer, but I mean, aren't engineers, like, aren't engineers looking at these things? I mean, how are soils reports passing when there's issues with the soil? I'm a little confused about that with the builders.
Well, engineers look at it. Builders build to what the engineers specify. But sometimes I think that builders get away with not building to what the engineers have specified. And they do shortcuts that aren't necessarily caught by the building department. And these soils may have changed and gotten worse as they build, which is not uncommon for when you build in an area. As more construction occurs, there becomes more problems because the water table changes and things just change. So I think what happened down in here, and my engineer kind of felt like this probably happened, is there was so much construction in this area that it changed the complexities of the soils in the area.
Okay,
And they started having a lot of problems.
okay,
Okay.
gotcha, thank you.
But, yeah, I mean, you don't know for sure, but I do know for sure, I've seen some homes in here. I saw quite a few foreclosures in here that I did BPOs on that were awful. I mean, the basements were heaving as much as, a foot in places. If they had basements. Now, a lot of the houses in that area were built on structural basements, which means there's a wood floor about 18 inches above grade. But the soils had moved so much, they were pushing up against the wood 18 inches away. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an area in Broomfield, because Broomfield has a tendency to have quite a bit of problems. And then Broomfield in this area, you're looking at a lot of older homes like in the 50s and 60s. This area here that's on the west side of Wadsworth, or Highway 287, which is called Miramonte, there are some awful soils in this area.
Ooh, wow.
There are homes in there that have real cracked bed. And they can be bad on this side as well, but they don't tend to be quite as bad. Now, I sold a house right here in Ridgeview Circle. It was probably this house here or this one here. And I think it was, let's see. Actually, it's this one. When they bought this house, they bought it. I was at an open house. They walked through. I was holding it open for another agent in my office. And they called me up that night and said, hey, we want to buy that house. Can you help us? And they did. And they had an inspection. He was an engineer. And about 3 years after that, they were starting to build a lot more houses around the area. So this is, these houses were here, then they started building these down below, and a lot of this construction. This house started to have some serious issues where their basement was heaving, and actually soils were coming up through the floor, the wood floor. And they had to have their whole basement replaced. But it was US Home built the home. And my guy was on top of it like you wouldn't believe. And he didn't pay a penny out of his pocket. He was the squeaky wheel, and he got them to take care of everything. Okay, but you wouldn't think these houses here, not way up, but they're maybe 30, 40 feet above these and other construction that we're doing, and the soil started to change, and the houses along Ridgeview Court or Circle here, quite a few of them started to have some issues. And you can see these homes when you're driving out 287 and you look to your right and you see these homes way up on the hill. From the home I had there, you could see Pikes Peak to Longs Peak. Okay, so pretty neat area, but again, soils are an issue. And then an ex-brother-in-law of mine had a home. Let's see if we can find it. Right up in this area. Along here, he was actually right here on Redstone Drive. And he had to have his whole basement replaced. Now, that home was probably built 30-ish years ago. Okay, so the quality of construction for a lot of these homes is not what they are nowadays. Right? And they didn't know how to build as well as they do on some of these soils. And they didn't do what they call over excavating and then bringing soils back in. So when you're driving around and you see a bunch of heavy equipment and they're taking dirt and they're scraping it off and building up these big piles of dirt. And then a couple days later, you go by and that dirt is gone and they put it back in. They're conditioning the soil and they're helping the soil so that they're going to be more conducive for building on, because they get the soils equalized and they don't have all of the fluctuation of bentonite in them, and they don't have the moisture issues. So things have progressed dramatically so that you shouldn't see these type of situations much anymore, especially in the last 10 years. Okay, but when you're in these areas, they can be. And then we can go up to Dillon Road, and you were asking about Erie, correct? Now, what did you have in the particular question about Erie?
Well, I heard more about oil, that there's an underground problem with oil. Now, I don't know the legitimacy of that, but I was just kind of curious, since you were talking about soils, if that was something that was legitimate or if it was more or
is.
less. Okay,
Okay, so to give you perspective, this piece of land right here, this is Top Golf.
okay,
So you probably, or excuse me, this is Top Golf right here. See that green?
I
Okay,
do.
So when you're going up the highway, you'll see the fence. And then you get off up here at 160th or baseline or Highway 7 or 168. Okay, then this area, all the way across, and especially when you get into this area right here, which this is the dump that you see. There are some very, very bad soils around this whole entire area. And I sold a house last year, a listing. I sold them brand new. And it was basically, let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. It was basically right in here. And he was a contractor that worked for a company that went in and redid older subdivisions that were having issues with their roads, their infrastructure, whatever. And this area up in here, a lot of the roads, you'll when you drive through it, are very, very undulating. You'll see cracks, you'll see driveways at houses that have moved that's quite a bit. Sometimes you're going to basements and you'll find basements that have really moved a lot. But this big area here where the golf course is, you'll find a lot more soil issues in this area than you do even to the east here. These homes are older on a whole than these homes in here. These homes are probably within the last 6 or 7 years. These are a lot older, not 20, maybe 20 years older. So you're definitely going to see a difference in the quality of construction and what they have to work with for the types of soils. I don't know about oil in the soils, like you were talking about.
Right.
So there's problems. And there is, even to the south side here in Anthem, there can be. Okay.
Oh.
On a whole, this area on the north side of Highway 7 is worse, I would say, because I've seen quite a few bad properties in here that are just really bad. I haven't seen one in Anthem that I would call really bad. I've seen some that had some issue, but nothing to where it was scary.
Okay.
Okay. Then we go straight east of here and we go out to Brighton, because Highway 7 if you go straight east, it turns into 160th on the east side of the highway, and you go right out to Brighton. But before you get to Brighton, you get to this area here, which is Todd Creek. All right here, they have a golf course. They have, a lot of these homes are on acreage. You know, they'll be like 1 to 3 acre lots out there. A lot of houses in here are more like patio homes or just regular single family homes. This area right here, there was a bad vein of soils, and a lot of these patio homes in through here really had a bad time. And they built these homes about 20 years ago or so. And I had an agent in my office who had bought one, and the builder, which was Richmond as well, they bought him out and put him in another home. So you can imagine what, if he was one and he knows there was at least 10 others in his neighborhood that were having pretty severe problems. So do you get rid of that? Not really. You can try to, if you replace the basement, do a good job with it, make sure your drainage is good, make sure that you get quality people, but you still have, you didn't over excavate in that area like they maybe should have, and they still have issues. There are a lot of homes right here along 470 in Todd Creek that are on acreage. You can see them. They're pretty good sized lots. They're not necessarily on an acre or anything, but they're half acre lots or 2/3 of an acre or something like that, but they're nice big lots. And there's a lot of homes in this area that really have some problems. Okay, kind of a neat area, and you'll see a lot of nice homes, but there are problems. And I would say that those are some of the main areas that you really want to take a look at for soils if you go showing those areas. You can have some problems here in Arvada, but on a whole, we really don't have much in the way of issues. Neither Westminster doesn't on a whole, anything like that. And then as you get further east and north, like you go to Wapui, you've got Fort Lupton, Platteville, which is towards Greeley, and Berthoud is here. Have you guys been up to Berthoud?
No.
Okay, I've got, here's Johnstown. I've got a brand new built home under contract. Well, here's where Buc-ee's is. And I drove into Buc-ee's yesterday. I could not find a parking place. I didn't necessarily want to park, but my God, there's 110 gas pumps in that, 110 or 120. And you cannot believe the traffic. It was, I just couldn't imagine. You couldn't find a place to park. So
Yeah, first, I don't know why they're so popular, but they are.
And then just north of there, a little ways, you've got Johnson's Corner, which used to be the big truck stop. Johnson's Corner was like nothing compared to Buc-ee's. But there were more trucks here. But the house I have under contract is in this area right here, which is a D.R. Horton new build home. And up there, you can find new homes for I talked about this the other morning in Coffee Talk. I've got a brand new ranch style home with an unfinished basement. It's at $539. And it's a little slower right now. You're able to get good deals. They're giving FHA and VA 4.99% interest and $5,000 in closing costs, or 5.5% for conventional loans. And they also have in Johnstown proper, right in this area, this is Mallard Ridge. I sold one earlier this year in this area. And they bought a 2,500 square foot 2-story for $565 with no basement. A lot of homes don't have basements anymore because it's cheaper, but you'll still find builders that build with basements. They're kind of building to a price point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So But Johnstown's, I mean, everything's growing. When you look at a whole, there's pretty much all new homes going up all along I-25. Pretty much up to the border, not all the way, but when you get further north up here to Tinmouth, which is directly east of Fort Collins. And I mean, it's just crazy. These are all houses in here. So you can, if you can get people to go out of town a little ways, you can find some very good deals on new homes. Or resale homes. And then if you go out east from Denver, I pretty much don't go much further east than I've sold a couple last year in Strasburg. Haven't sold anything ever in Byers. I sold 5 or 6 new homes in Bennett. And then I've got 5 or 6 homes I've sold with D.R. Horton right in this area, which is 470. Okay, and I-70. This is Aurora, but they give it a Watkins zip code because it's Watkins just right there. But there's a lot of new homes in there, and this isn't all of them. But you're talking that now those houses are running in the lower 5s to middle upper 6s. Maybe even more. I sold a ranch last year late, but it was a ranch with no basement, and it sold for right at 525. So if you get a little ways out of town and your people do not need to commute a long ways, and even if they do, some people will commute no matter what it takes to find a home that they're comfortable with, right? Because I work with a lot of veterans or active duty that are now working at the Space Force, which is Buckley Air Force Base, is Buckley Space Force Base. So I have a lot of veterans that have bought out to the east here because their commute is going west against the traffic. So, and then we're back to where we kind of started, down towards Parker and Elizabeth. Okay. Any questions that
Interesting.
you guys have?
No, I was just curious about the whole Erie thing, Erie and Broomfield, because those are, I live in Broomfield, so I was just kind of curious, about some of the areas, some of the soils. I know that in talking to some of the builders, they
Some
don't,
is due to builders. And some
I'm
is
sorry.
just, some is because of the builders, but some is just because when they built a lot of these older homes, like I have one right here that I found from my old partner, right across the street from Cole Elementary. It's probably one of these 3 houses. It had a whole back wall of the main level, but the basement had cracked and moved, and the wall was about 1.5 feet away from the wall of the house. It had moved that far, and raccoons were living up in the attic, and moisture was coming in, and there was a couple, 3 or 4 houses right here along Cole Street that were pretty bad. So you'll find pockets, because bentonite doesn't just happen in an area typically, it kind of grows in veins. And so you may have 3 or 4 houses that have a problem, and then no other house in the area does.
Okay, that makes sense.
But on a whole, the older homes can have some problems, and Miramonte definitely has problems out here to the west side. Okay,
Good to know.
where do you live?
I'm in Broomfield, right off of Baseline and Sheridan, but we're not, like my husband, we don't own, we're just renting right now.
Right.
So I've just been curious about the area because I'm trying to become more familiar with homes in Erie, Broomfield, Lafayette,
Oh,
things that are closer to me that I might be able to market. So I've just been kind of curious about the various areas, soils. The builders don't build like they do in California and Arizona with the post-tension concrete.
Yeah,
They don't do that. So, I was been kind of curious about, what the building materials look like, how your soils look, so on and so forth, things that you're covering today.
okay. Again, 25 years ago, you just didn't see a whole lot of over excavating. And in fact, this really bad area I told you about where Flatirons is and this area over here.
Hmm.
There's parts of the mall that they took out because there was an outside area to the mall and there was, a lot of problems out there. They took out some of the restaurants. My son worked at one of the restaurants up there. They started having major cracks in the floor and they even had a chandelier one night fell off the ceiling. And when they came in the next morning, if this thing would have fallen when people were there, it would have killed probably 10 or 15 people. But this whole area is just kind of a nightmare.
Wow.
And this is the outside area of the mall, and this was the regular mall in here, so at first they built this area with concrete sidewalks and things like that, then they changed it to where they used cobblestone, because the stones could move, and they didn't have the disruption in the sidewalk and breaking and cracking and people tripping and falling and all that. But now they just, I haven't been up there lately, but they've taken out a lot of the shops that used to be in here. Just because it got so bad.
Which mall was that, Bob?
What was that?
Which mall is that?
That's Flatirons,
Oh,
Flatirons Crossing. Here's Interlochen, here's 36. Here's Broomfield.
holy
Straight,
crap.
straight west.
Okay,
Okay,
got it.
got it? Get it? Good. Any other questions that you have? I guess it's just you and me. But
No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
just, like I said, I was curious about the soils and this is great information. And now I'll know what to look for. And then obviously, as Jill's comes in, you and I can have some conversations and we can talk about certain areas.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. You doing any open houses this weekend?
I'm not. We're leaving for San Diego today.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm sorry
Yeah.
you have to go there. That's a horrible place to have to go to, but.
It is not.
Yeah,
Don't be jealous.
I'm jealous. I have a guy, a realtor that used to be in my old office. He owns a, really nice, he bought it 30+ years ago, a lot, with a little tiny house on it. He tore it down and he built a 3-story timeshare right on the beach.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Well, we're headed to, my niece lives in Solana Beach. So we're going to stay with her. And then we're gonna go spend, a couple of days in La Jolla and then some days in Temecula at the wineries.
Good for you. Well, have fun and enjoy.
Well, that's what we intend to do. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 4th. And thank you again for the information. It was extremely helpful.
Good, absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good trip.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
call you back. I will. Will not call you back. Definitely not gonna call you back.